You must love podcasts if you're listening to this. Do you want to start your own one or you already have one? Then follow Smarter Podcasting to get expert advice from me, Niall Mackay, the podcast guy. Since 2019, we've worked with over 40 podcasters, produced over 700 episodes, and helped many podcasts get to the top of the Apple Podcast charts. And right now, I'm offering you a professional edit for just $27. Click the link in the show notes. Are you a content creator looking for an efficient and powerful editing tool? Then look no further than Descript. Descript simplifies the editing process for audio and video content, allowing you to write, record, transcribe, and edit all in one platform. I started using Descript several years ago and it changed the way I podcast. I still can't believe what I can create from my desk at home and the features they keep adding, including video editing, so you can get your podcast on YouTube. Best of all is the studio sound feature, which turns my original audio, which I'm recording right now, in a big echoey room with my wife in the background doing the dishes, the front doors open. And even though I'm using a really good microphone, the Shure SM57, when I turn on studio sound, it turns it into this. But don't just take my word for it. The Pod Sound School appreciates how it eliminates the sucky parts of podcast editing, which I couldn't agree with more. When I started using Descript, I started to enjoy podcast editing, and I still do to this day. Podcasters, video creators, and journalists who use Descript include Jordan Harbinger, Vox Media, The New York Times, Gimlet Media, and Wired. Join the ranks of satisfied content creators and try Descript today. Go to 7millionbikes.com/promos. That's 7millionbikes.com/promos, or click in the show notes and you can get 1 hour of free transcription per month for free to try it out. And if you do join up, then 7 Million Bikes Podcast will get a small commission, which will help me create these episodes for you. Cheers. Welcome to Smarter Podcasting, where I dive into the world of podcasting and explore the experiences and insights from myself and fellow creators to help you build your audience and connect with your community. I'm Niall Mackay, the podcast guy, a podcast fanatic, comedian, teacher, and founder of 7 Million Bikes Podcast. I talk about it, and you hear it, that you need to post consistently. But life isn't consistent. Like me, you probably have a lot going on in your life other than just your podcast. To stay consistent, the best advice I can give you is to have at least 3 episodes recorded in the bank, so you're ahead of the game. Now, I am the worst at doing that. And if anyone knows me or listens to any of my podcasts, I'm a last minute kind of guy, and I really wish I wasn't. But in this case, I did have backup episodes ready for my first trip back to Scotland to see my family in 4 years. However, I did not have the full episode ready. So I am recording this intro not from my usual home studio in Saigon, but my bedroom in Glasgow where I grew up. And coincidentally, this episode is with a fellow Glaswegian, Andrew Durning. Andrew has a successful YouTube channel, That Mental Ginger Show, and I was honoured to be on that show a couple of times and talk to Andrew. Now, I've lived overseas for 20 years, so believe it or not, I actually have a soft Glaswegian accent. But it wasn't always like this, and if you're a regular listener, you may notice that talking to a fellow Glaswegian, there is a slight difference in my accent as it slips back to my Glaswegian roots. But don't worry, you should still be able to understand me, I hope. Andrew has a proper Glaswegian accent though, so I do hope that you can understand him. And I'll be honest, my editor said she had a hard time understanding him. Andrew has graciously allowed me to share this conversation with you from my interview with him on his show. So in this podcast, we'll be discussing various aspects of podcasting, sharing our stories, and offering valuable advice to other podcasters. Andrew and I both have first-hand experience in creating and running content, and we're eager to share our knowledge with you and learn from each other. We reflect on the challenges and triumphs of monetization and the ever-evolving podcasting landscape. One topic that resonates with us is the prevalent trend of quick fix solutions and side hustles that promise instant success. We both recognize there is a misconception that starting a podcast or a YouTube channel or a blog is just as simple as flipping a switch. But we understand the dedication and effort required to create valuable content that resonates with audiences and builds a successful podcast. And we want to help you understand that too. During our conversation, I shared my experience with creating my own online course and the unexpected hurdles that I encountered along the way. I was initially enticed by the idea of starting an online course as a means to monetize my knowledge and expertise. But little did I know that it would turn into a nearly year-long project demanding countless hours of recording, editing, and fine-tuning to meet the standards I had set for myself that I wanted to give to you. This hard work, though, did result in How to Start a Podcast, Get Your Voice Out, and Share Your Story, which helps take new podcasters from a beginner to an expert in as little as 1 week. Andrew also shares his journey of creating a business course and how his approach, characterized by his fly by the seat of your pants mentality, brought him unexpected success. We compare our methods and experiences, emphasizing the importance of authenticity, engagement, and finding your niche in the podcasting world. Throughout our conversation, we touch on crucial podcasting topics such as understanding your niche, selecting the right tech and software, and creating engaging content. Our courses, although they're structured differently, both aim to guide aspiring podcasters through the essential steps before, during, and after recording. It was really exciting to connect with our fellow content creator, exchange ideas, and learn together. And by comparing our Scottish perspectives on podcasting, we hope to provide you valuable insights and encourage you to embark on your own podcasting journey. So join us as we navigate the fascinating and ever-evolving world of podcasting, sharing our stories, experiences, and tips to inspire and support you at every stage of your creative process. Enjoy.
Fellow humans, give it up for the best Scot that is living in Vietnam, who's also a comedian and a teacher, Niall Mackay.
That's a way better intro than last time.
Yeah, the last time it was, words I can't say because I don't want to get demonetized in the first minute. So much.
Well, if you're monetized, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. At the time of recording, 3 have been monetized. I did get a 4th, but then I passed it on to the guy to spread his wings and fly away. The advantage of being a podcast mentee, which you are now doing as well yourself. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
But anyway, I want to hear about your podcast course. So tell everybody on this side of the pond about it, what your process was to get into it, how many clients you've had. I want to hear the success of this fellow Scot.
It's one of the things I got tricked, right? Because one of the things that bugs me the most, and I already knew this, and you probably see this all the time, especially in the pandemic, right? How to make money, how to get a side hustle, what you should do. And you see it all the time. I even saw it yesterday. Start a YouTube channel. As if you can just do that and you just record some videos and you got a phone, start a YouTube channel. You're like, do you know how much effort and time goes into starting a YouTube channel that is successful and going to make you money? It's going to take you months, if not years.
You get it. You totally get it. Like when I say, don't do it on my phone because you have to have the quality to go with the content, I get lynched. To the point where I've had to stop making the videos. I'm going to have to do one going, look, here's a wee trick sheet of how to do one if you're using your phone. Just one that I'll put up on YouTube for a wee couple of people. But I got crucified for that, so thank you. You make me feel normal.
Yeah. Well, so you see this all the time, like start a blog, that was one as well. And it's like start a blog. So you would see all these things, like do this, do that, side hustle, you'll make some money. And it's always like 1 line or 2 lines. And you're like, you realize that 1 or 2 lines that you've put in your blog, 10 ways to start a side hustle, like each one of those is a massive project. But anyway, I got because I read the thing, start an online course. It's the way of the future. Everyone's learning online these days. It's growing so much. And, just create your course, just create a course and then sell it. And you're like, I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. It's taken me a year. Obviously, it's not been full time, but I mean, there was a good few months where I was literally any spare moment I had, I was working on it. So what I had, my first iteration of it was basically like I had a few blog posts, and because it's like just start a course, I was like, oh, cool. I'll take some of my blog posts, use this platform, put it in a post, put it in writing. You follow it, I'll sell it. Then I shared it with a friend who she knew a little bit about this kind of stuff, and she's like, that's worthless. And then I spoke to someone else, and he's like, yeah, I mean, like, what would you pay for an online ebook if you've just got text? It's worth like $2. He's like, if you want to sell it, you've got to make video content, you've got to have slides, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm also like, I want to do it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to do it quickly, but I also want to do it right to a certain standard. I'm not a perfectionist. Like, I won't put it off and off and put it off and keep it off until it's 100%. Like, I'm happy to just get it done. Yeah. But I also want to do it as well as I can with the time that I have. So anyway, it just turned into this massive project. So I wrote all these lectures, and then I had to sit and record myself just like this, say in the lecture, do the slides on Canva, then I would record myself and edit it out on the script and put it into the course. And so all of that just took so long. So eventually I got it pretty much finished, and then I got busy with life, you know, so I couldn't really touch it for a while. But then again, it's this stuff you get, right? The course is done. So now it's like, okay, now you're going to market it. And then it comes back to the same stuff. And it's like, how do you market it? Start a YouTube channel, have a blog, start a podcast. And you're like, you realize like each and every one of these things that you're like, just do this to build your email list is like insane. So even yesterday, I was like so excited in the beginning because then I got so overwhelmed because I'm at the stage where I've given it, as I've talked to you, I've given it to a few people for free to get some feedback and some testimonials. And the feedback and the testimonials have been amazing. So that's like really encouraged me because they could have come back, you know, I think they were being honest. They could have come back and said, oh, it's not that good. You know, so that makes me feel good that I've created something that has value that people will pay for.
I've had like, you know, the initial consultations with them. I was quite surprised. I got my kind of mind done. And I'm not going to lie, it's not been in the same details as yours. It's been like fly by the seat of my pants because that style seems to be working for me. And I'm like, okay, that seems to work for me. Let's go with it. And when I done the course, like the business course with that waste management company over here in the UK, and they were like, okay, well, you can do your course. I hadn't even thought of the course yet. Well, I'd met with my business advisor and he said, that could be an option for you. He put me in contact. I blagged that entire interview. And they went, okay, let's see what you got. So I'm like, fuck, I've got to write this course.
Yeah.
So I'm like writing it down, like take the time with it, making sure, like, oh my God, I was sweating like a mofo, but my mouth is dry. Yourself. Like 16 people had signed up. What they expected 4, and 8 people turned up. So they were very overwhelmed with that. They thought that was great. Yeah. And then they were like, you kept it really, it wasn't really showy. There wasn't a lot of slides and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but in my head, I was like stressing because I like people like to see visuals, they like to see slides. So, but because I was just kind of, I had the text up of what I was going to do and I was talking about it, and then I would look at the comments like, oh, I've got a question for blah, blah, blah. That's a really interesting one. And then I would have a wee quick thing. And they were like, you were really good with your engagement. You were really good with interacting with people. It's like, but why was it so short? And I was like, because I only have a free Zoom account. And they're like, oh, we didn't know what we could have done because they logged on 10 minutes beforehand to make sure that I was okay and I wasn't nervous. And then when I logged out and logged back in afterwards, and they were like, we didn't know, so sorry. It's like, no, but that's actually better because you were able to cram so much detail into 30 minutes. And it's the same deal like the podcast kind of clients as well on my side. Like I took like Grant, who was doing Ginger Scaredy Cat with me. He came to me with the idea and I thought, well, this is my pilot. I'll do it for free to see if I can do it and I can teach someone. And then the results came in and I'm like, okay, I can do it. So I got like my first client before I realised. I was like, what did I charge you? Don't know. So I charged it and he's like, okay, cool, no worries. And then I went on, I got like a valuation site and you could put in like, you know, kind of the details of what your course was and stuff. And I had majorly undersold myself. Apparently, like with the course that you're probably delivering as well, and probably doing better than me because you're more meticulous than me. Let's be totally upfront here. Mine was valued closer to about the 500 mark.
Oh, wow.
And the business one.
What is it most? Like, what does it cover? How is it delivered?
Here we go, because this is something I really want to do, is like just to compare notes, compare Scottish podcasting notes, and we can learn and grow together. So, like, the first ones that I cover is knowing your niche. So it's like, you know, people say, I want to start a podcast about mental health. And it's like, okay, let's funnel it down. What's the kind of core thing that you can start with? What? And then it's the tech and the software. So it's like, what can you get that's reasonably good tech for quite a good price? What, for starting out, and then saying that you can always go bigger as you go on, raising.
Yeah.
What? Then after that, we've got the actual creating the content. So, is like in the first course, I say then like you need at least kind of 6 to 10 episode ideas, so you can build up your base, and then that way you won't get too burned out going forward with it. So by that point, they should at least have 6 ideas, and then you can go through where you're going to record it, how you're going to record it, let's piece it all together and make a battle plan. Those ones matching yours?
Yeah, it's pretty similar, almost identical. I kind of broke it down into 3 main parts: before you record, how you record, and then after you record.
Yeah.
And so the before you record is the niche stuff. I saw one recently, on one of the groups, and they're like, hey, we're 4 guys that just drink beer and talk. Why don't we have any audience? And, all the comments are like, one of the comments made me laugh so much. It was like, if I want to hear 4 guys talking while they're drinking beer, I'll just go to the local bar.
Brilliant.
So it's the biggest thing, but a lot of podcasters, some I've spoken to, someone I see, and it's like, who's your podcast for? And I'm like, well, it's for everyone. And I suffer from it as well. My main podcast is called a Vietnam podcast. And I mean, I guess it's for people who want to learn about Vietnam, I guess. So it is niche. It does have a niche, but at the same time, it's not a very specific niche. In my other podcast is a comedy podcast, but that's about how jokes are created. And I don't know if you know that one. It's called Did That Really Happen? So I play a comedian's joke, and then I ask them, did that really happen? And so I really like that one. I love the...
Yeah,
pretty similar.
That one a lot.
I wanted to share with you about one of my favorite affiliate partners, and that is Fiverr. I've been using Fiverr for years for everything from ordering YouTube thumbnails to keyword research, writing podcast articles, even to Canva designs and thumbnails and more. So whether you're a budding entrepreneur, a podcaster, or anyone in between, Fiverr has got you covered. It really is the go-to platform if you want to find freelancers offering a massive range of services to help you on any project. Maybe you need a stunning new logo or just a short animation, whatever you need, you can find it on Fiverr. What I love the most is how easy Fiverr makes it to connect with talented freelancers from around the world, all at prices that will fit whatever your budget is. Plus, with Fiverr's secure payment system, you can trust that your transactions are safe and secure. No dodgy people you meet on Facebook groups that disappear with your money and never give you what you want. What, that's only happened to me? As an affiliate partner, I will get a small commission if you use the link and at no extra cost to you. As an affiliate partner, I will get a small commission if you click my link and you buy something, all at no extra cost to you. And best of all, you will be directly supporting the making of this podcast that you're listening to for free, but it is not free to make. So why wait? Head over to somewhere that you've probably never been before. It's called the show notes. So whatever app you're listening in, if it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything at all, head to the show notes, click on my special link, and then you can browse thousands of gigs ready to help you with your next project.
I really like that one.
Yeah, I'm proud of that one. That's been a bit of a side project, and it's kind of fallen out of the wayside recently because I've been so busy helping other people make podcasts. Mm-hmm. But it's there, so I hopefully do more in the future. But yeah, it's not also the niche. How do you choose your topic? But then it got to be a bit more specific, like how do you choose your artwork and how do you design the artwork, different presentation formats. And then it comes down to, choosing the microphone, choosing the equipment, if it's your budget. How do you edit? What editing softwares are there? I always recommend Descript because that's what I use. So it talks a little bit more about Descript.
Yeah.
Then what do you do after recording is just how to publish the episode, how to promote it, and then how to monetize it as well.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of roughly the same with me because it's like after content creation, I've got, social media. So it's like how you use the social media to kind of like get the word out there that you're using it. And then the final one's your platforms and upload schedule. So it's like, what platform you're going to choose and when you're going to upload it. The key word is always, don't just say when I feel like it, or maybe, or they'll upload like on a Tuesday afternoon and then they'll wait like 3 weeks and do it on a Friday night. And it's like, but at least your first 6 have a set time, stick with it. The easiest way that I relate to them is, when did we associate the times with Coronation Street being on?
That's a
in that case, it was Wednesday at 7:30.
Yeah.
Right, so Wednesday at 7:30, I knew Corey would be on, and I knew Mum would be watching it, so I get half an hour to do whatever I wanted.
But that's a good one. That's my biggest thing as well, just be consistent. I always make a joke about when people podcast, they'll see it being like, oh, what's the optimal time? When's the best time to post your podcast? Is it 6 a.m. on a Tuesday? And I'm like, podcasts don't work like that. It's not like we wait for the full moon and make sure it's the third Tuesday of the month. Like, just be consistent, because people listen to podcasts when they want. Nobody's like, that Coronation Street one is a good example, but also at the same time, nobody's sitting waiting for 7:30 on a Wednesday for your podcast to come out. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But with Thomas the Tank, everyone on my side, they do wait for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but because a lot of the Thomas fans have autism as well, so they like consistency and routine and structure.
It's also difficult with all the time zones as well, because you never know the time zones. If people listen to my podcast from all over the world, so you have no idea where people are.
Well, I also owe you a really big thank you while we're on, because after I'd had you on the first time for the podcast, Vietnam became my second top most viewed country.
What?
Yep.
That's amazing.
It was top for a while, and now I think it's third. Still third. So I've still got some hangers on in there. I might go back to number one for getting you back on.
Did you mention Vietnam in the title or something like that?
Yeah. Of course, I dropped Vietnam in it. And then I was still talking about them, like saying, I had a Scottish guy who was living in Vietnam, and the numbers went up. I was like, to my Vietnamese supporters, I love you. Thank you.
Awesome. No, that's so good.
And they've stuck with it, so I'm happy. The weirdest ones that I had, what topped it for a while was Russia.
Right.
Because since the war kicked off, a lot of Western content's been removed. So they're lacking on it anything kind of Western that they can get. What's more Western than a ginger Scottish guy? So they shot right up the rankings, and I was like, wow. And then the irony is, over in my Thomas channel, it's a Cold War scenario. Russia number 1, America number 2, and America number 1, Russia number 2. I'm like, this is the Cold War of podcasting. It's so mental. One thing I was going to ask about your courses, have you got any kind of follow-up ones planned? For when they've made the podcast, or maybe they're struggling to get the numbers. How could you grow that podcast?
I was going to say one thing at a time. I got to sell this first course first. That's the main thing. Just get that sold. I haven't really thought that far ahead, but it's definitely a good idea. Yeah. But the platform,
one of your clients is already up and running. I did see that. So you can plug your client as well, like someone that you've helped get their stuff going. So when you go sell it.
Well, that got me so pumped. So I gave out a bunch of free courses to some people to just try and get some feedback. And the 2 people who went through my full course, one of them did the first interview yesterday. The other one's going to be doing the first interviews next week. And they're going to be launching. So I already got 100% success record of the people who've done my course have gone on and started a podcast. And like I said, the feedback has been really good. Because, you're like, I don't even know if this is any good. It's like you doubt yourself and you're like, is this garbage? Have I just wasted a year?
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, so saying yesterday I was like overwhelmed and then underwhelmed. So overwhelmed because I was like, when I was excited, I was like, yes, this is going amazing. Like, people are enjoying it. And then I was like, now I got to sell it. Like, how do I do that? I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to start this. I'm going to do that. So, I know part of that is, thanks for having me on. It's coming on and talking on other people's shows as part of that. That's kind of part of the ongoing strategy is as well, which I got to do more of as well.
As well as a thank you, I do also owe you an apology because you'd sent your course out to me to look at, and I did look at it, and I just forgot to get back to you because by that point other people had already got back to you. And I was like, I've missed my window. But I also wanted to thank you for it because at that point I was like, I'm going to have to create something because people are asking for it. And the things I was thinking was, I don't know if I've got that knowledge. I don't know if I've got, if it's going to be something that everybody else knows or whatever. So reading your stuff kind of actually gave me a confidence boost to wait, I am actually saying the right things. I'm not talking piss.
Yeah. Well, I have the same thing as well. Yeah, I've had the same thing as well. I see what someone else is doing and I'm like, oh, that's it, the same thing. All right, sweet. I know what I'm talking about. So it's something, I started making podcasts 2018, 2019. And that never was a plan to be a podcast producer or maker. But then it's like you just learn so many skills and then you realize that podcasts are just growing and growing and growing. Like even this morning, I think I picked up a new client in the States for editing because he's posting like, I need help with editing, and it's just the growth is it's just not going to stop growing really. So it's good time to get in early. I think we're both doing something that's probably even today. It could be in 20 years' time in ULG or podcasting. Right now, it feels so fresh and new, and 20 years is not that far away. We could be looking back in 20 years and being like, Andrew Durning or that. Neil Mackay, like those are the guys pioneering. Sometimes you see other people doing stuff and that intimidates you, and he knows more than me, or he's better than me. Like, why am I doing this? This guy knows way more than me. And then you're kind of like, no, he doesn't. He doesn't know that much more than me. Or if he does, that's fine. Other people are allowed to know more than you. You don't have to be the only one that knows this information.
Yeah, it's like I look on all the like the content creators that are on YouTube, like guys like Think Media, Nick Nimmin, like guys that are they're doing like their own courses and stuff as well, and then they're dropping kind of free tidbits on YouTube as well. So like I went on some of their courses and I've looked at their YouTube videos, and it's been good because like a lot of it, I'm like, they're actually now too big to give the in-depth analysis to individual people. Because they'll do like these panel things, and like thousands of people will come on them because they've earned that right. And like, so, whereas I'm like, I can use this to my advantage. I'm like, right, if I could do a generic, and I'll do the generic YouTube like ones that I can't run part 2, part 3, but during it put in, if you want detailed stuff, detailed help, email me for a consultation. That costs nothing at the minute, and then take it from there.
So now I know that the product is good. Now I know it's there. I think I know the value. I just need to get myself out there and get 7 Million Bikes podcasts out there and get myself more known as a Niall Mackay, the podcast guy. That's what it's going to be.
Hey, I like it because you've got your own rhyming scheme as well. Niall Mackay, the podcast guy. That's always. I got to hand that to my wife. She came up with that one because I mentioned to you before. Everyone says my last name wrong. They always say Mackay. Yeah.
Or any other variation of not saying Mackay. So that helps people pronounce my name properly. If you say Niall Mackay, the podcast guy, there's only 250,000 active podcasts in the world.
It's quite interesting. And it's like think about like
100 million blogs.
Yeah, and there's like 2 billion YouTube accounts.
Yeah. So the room for podcast growth is huge.
Yeah, and it's all the little tips and tricks that guys like us know to help people. Because I don't know if you had it as well, because we are current on time, so we'll end on this little tidbit that, and I think you'll agree as well. When people say how lucky you are to have the podcast clients or be doing so well with your podcast, oh, you've got lucky, and I'm like, nah, I worked my ass off. I have been busting my ass constantly to get there, and I'm sure that you'll feel the same way. Like sometimes there could be an element of luck, but most of it is hard work and skill.
I agree and disagree with what you're saying, and only disagree in the fact that I've not had anyone yet say you're so lucky, but I know what you mean. I mean, that happens in so many different scenarios. We've lived overseas for a long time, and when sometimes we say, you're so lucky that you live overseas, and you're like, well, it's not really luck. So it's similar principles. Yeah, I do completely agree. I mean, you always make your own luck, right? So like, there's one of my clients where I was like, I knew them already. So I'm like, was that just lucky because I knew them? And I'm like, no, they came and approached you because they knew the skills that you have. And so, I don't really, you make your own luck, right? Like Billy Zane,
yeah, definitely. And it's like one of my clients is like, she's a friend that I knew from college back in like 2008. And they could be like, oh, you got lucky because it's one of your mates. And I'm like, no, like she approached me and we had the consultation, treated her like every other client. And she thought, no, I want lucky because it's backed it up.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Neil, we are coming up on time, and I just want to say, it's been an absolute blast to speak to you, man. It always is. And also, I follow your stuff as well. All the socials and everything. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Smarter Podcasting. I hope you found our conversation insightful and a little bit entertaining, and I hope you could understand it. It's been a pleasure sharing my journey with you, Andrew, and discussing the process of creating an online course. As fellow Scottish podcasters, it's great to compare notes and learn from each other's experiences. If you've been considering starting your own podcast or creating an online course, now is the perfect time to take action. Don't let the daunting nature of this hold you back. Remember, success comes with effort and dedication. Whether it's finding your niche, mastering the technical aspects, or creating engaging content, there are steps that you can take to make your podcast course stand out. Speaking of courses, if you are a podcast beginner, I want to invite you to check out my own online course. It's designed to guide you through the entire process of podcasting, from planning to promotion, with a focus on helping you find your unique voice and connect with your target audience. This course provides valuable insights and practical tips. By signing up for my course, you'll gain access to comprehensive modules that cover topics like defining your niche, recording and editing techniques, and effective marketing strategies. If you need a little bit more coaching for your own podcast, then reach out to me as well, and I'll be happy to help you too. Visit my website and enroll in the course today to kickstart your podcasting journey. Don't let your ideas and creativity go untapped. With the right guidance and support, you can turn your passion into a successful podcast that resonates with listeners. Remember, every great podcaster started somewhere, and with the right knowledge and tools, you can make a meaningful impact in the podcasting world. Thank you again for joining me on this episode of Smarter Podcasting, and I look forward to hearing about your own podcasting adventures. So drop me a message, the link is in the show notes. I want to hear from you. Stay inspired, stay curious, and create amazing content.
Hi, my name is Sal Jeffries. I run the Mindset, Mood and Movement podcasts. I've been working with Niall at 7 Million Bikes for the whole of this year, literally from the start of my podcast to date. And I want to say a couple of things. So when we record the podcast, sometimes there are things that I need tweaking. There could be edits or clips. It's really simple. I give those instructions to Niall, he gets it sorted. There's sometimes a sound level differences between the guest mic and mine. Again, that's all sorted so the outcome is a really balanced sound. And also if there are issues with voice, little kind of sound interruptions, all those things that can distract a listener, Niall knows exactly what to do, cleans it up. The end result, a highly professional, beautiful sounding podcast without distraction. That's exactly what I want. I know my listeners do. So if you're interested in having that level of podcast and that kind of quality, Niall is a great guy and I highly recommend you speak to him.